Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today I'll be covering Chapter 10, Public Opinion and Political Socialization. Before we get started, I just wanted to tell everyone who's watching I am so incredibly proud of how far you've come this year, whether I know you personally or I don't. I hope that this has been a helpful resource for you as well. And I just wanted to remind everyone that it is okay to set and create boundaries for yourself and to listen when you need to take breaks and when your body and mental health needs it. I know that, especially during this time, it can be incredibly challenging. So I just want to remind everyone that there are resources and people who love you very much. And I encourage you to reach out if you are needing some extra support. Yes. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into chapter 10. This one should be super short as well. So we're going to talk about public opinion research. What is that? This is polling that is used to gauge information on public opinions on issues, whether that be candidates, institution, policies. Some believe politicians should act according to public opinion only. However, some argue that the public view on an issue can be inconsistent throughout time, and it doesn't accurately voice the opinions of all people, including minorities who may be not represented appropriately. So that is definitely two sides of looking at public opinion when involving policy. Some limitations to public polling is that a straw poll, which is a unscientific survey, is used to gauge the public opinion. This can have an overrepresentation of individuals within a sample. So let's say that there was supposed to be a poll that included both Mexican Americans and Black Americans. If 70% of the polling population was Black Americans, then there would be an underrepresentation of Mexican Americans in comparison to Black Americans. Moreover, timing of when the poll is put out and the selection process can play important roles in the ways that the public views an issue or an individual. So, definitely the timing of it can be have great influence over the way in which the public will sway. The Gallup organization is one that tends to accurately predict the results of the elections, unlike the literary digest. So, although polling is used by many organizations, not all of them accurately predict the results of elections, candidates, policies. The success of polling has led to an increase on reliance of them. So, because of Gallup's organization's track record of successfully predicting the results of elections, uh, the reliance on public polling has increased greatly. The government actually funds an American National Election Studies, which tracks the behaviors and attitudes of the public. So you can see it's also an important aspect to the US government as they heavily rely on it to see and predict the results of policies and whatnot. Conducting public opinion polls. Public opinion polls are vital to the success of presidential and civil leaders, their agenda, re-elections, and favorably judged by history. So, polling also shows the ways in which leaders will be perceived in history. We also have push polls. So these are when someone will provide untruthful or negative information about their opponent. So, for example, I have seen when former President Donald Trump was in office, he sent out a polling to his registered voters asking, kind of swaying them to see negative aspects of his competitor, Joe Biden. So, that is one example that is prevalent today. Yeah, so these aren't necessarily effective because it doesn't accurately display both sides. We have random sampling. This gives each potential voter or adult the same chance of being selective. However, this is not effective because, it's random. Then we have stratified sampling, which is basically a variation of random sampling. However, it is more effective than random sampling. And this is when they use the US Census to divide the nation into subgroups based off of their region. And then they sample a number of people over a variation of years, and these groups are proportionate to the population in that region. The ways in which they conduct these polls can be telephone polls, and this is where they call registered voters every day. We have in-person interviews. These are used as exit polls when people are leaving their election voting centers. So they'll ask them, like every 10 people they'll ask. And so this way they're able to get like fresh off the press or predict correctly who the candidate is. So this is a little bit more reliable, because if we consider telephone polls, it could be, well, does the person answer? Are they accurately stating what their actual intentions are? So it's a little bit more effective in-person interviews than telephone polls. Then we have internet polls, which are posted online and they're open to everyone. However, this may seem more effective and accurate. However, we must also consider a lot of low-income minorities are not going to be able to have access to internet polls, so that would cut out a large majority of the population. So there are limitations to all of them. Next, we have shortcomings of polling. So these are just some limitations per se to the effectiveness of polling. We have margin of error, which implies an accurate measure of the public opinion due to closeness. So if the polling says it's 52% one way, and then whatever the other one would be, 48 maybe. You can tell I'm not really good with math, but let's say it's close to 50-50. There's going to be a larger margin of error where it's not accurate. So that is a shortcoming of polling. We have sampling error, which is an underrepresentation of a population or demographic, which in turn would cause an overrepresentation of a specific group of people. We have limited respondent options. So that one is a big one, kind of like when someone states a question and it's like your response options are yes or no, but you are like, no, that doesn't accurately reflect what I want to say. That would be a limited respondent option, where it doesn't cover the full scope of what your accurate response to the question would be. Then we have a lack of information provided. So if a issue or policy that they are polling on isn't really popularized, and they're individuals that they are asking to fill out these polls are not educated on it, that could be a shortcoming of the polling process, because the people just aren't informed on the issue. Then we have an inability to measure the intensity. So if there isn't a spectrum option for like strongly agree, somewhat disagree, neutral, and then so forth and so on, for agree, we're not going to see how passionate or not passionate these individuals are for a specific person, policy, civil leader. And then lastly, we have the lack of interest in political issues. For example, foreign policy. If a policy or individual isn't directly affecting citizens, it's less likely to draw a lot of attention. So although that is probably not great, it isn't great. It is our reality that a lot of people, if it doesn't directly affect them, they're not going to be informed or put a lot of care into that issue. So that is another shortcoming of polling, is we can't really control the passion and desire within an individual doing the polling. Forming political opinions. So how are one's political opinions formed? And this is called political socialization, which is just the process in which an individual acquires their political beliefs and values. And then some of these determining factors are gender. So women are typically more left-leaning on the spectrum than men. We have age. This is also a very clear one. The older populations tend to be more conservative. Race and ethnicity. Uh, if you are a part of a marginalized race or ethnicity, typically you're going to be more left-leaning. Religion. Religious institutions tend to cause people to be more conservative, so more right-winged. School, family, and peers. This one can go either ways depending on the environments in which you are surrounded by. Mass media, what media stations are you watching? That one is also going to depend on you personally or what's being played in your home. And then we have political leaders' actions. So through televised broadcasts, we are able to see or keep up with what our political leaders are doing on a day-to-day basis. So what they say, how they act, what they are doing is going to influence the ways in which an individual forms their political opinions. And then we have political knowledge. If someone is not educated on a topic, that is also going to sway the ways in which they form their beliefs and values. And same if they are politically educated on issues and policies that are being put in place. I believe this concludes our Chapter 10 presentation. I'm sorry it's a little late, but this week has definitely been a lot. So I hope this was helpful. Definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe and put the little bell on if you're able to. If not, I hope that you were just able to get something out of this. And yes, thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.